witches, it's Luna here. Welcome to all my viewers, and if you are new here, especially welcome to you. I am not going to be able to do a live stream. I'm shooting this on a Wednesday and my computer is still having a heenie, so I've got a guy coming tomorrow. My son's very sweet friend who has maintained this 12-year-old computer for me. So anyhow, I thought I can at least give you a video, right? And not just a regular unboxing. I haven't seen a hashtag for this. I was kind of looking. I don't really know how to search hashtags. So I've been going to Candy Soul and Soil because she was the source of my first hashtag VR, and that was my disheveled decks hashtag. So I'm creating my own, I guess. And what I'm talking about today is my fairy decks, light fairies and dark fairies, and I have them kind of on a continuum from light to dark, and we'll see if you agree. I'm going to minimize myself and light a candle for the fairies first of all, and give them some fresh water, and give them a touch of Fire Vazrael, just a touch. Oh my God, that was a giant spoonful. Okay. Also because it just smells really good. I'm not actually going to be doing readings. You know, in my unboxings I always test drive the deck, but in this video it's strictly about just the collection. I toast you with my bubbly. So we're starting with light, and these are the lightest of the light. I had a viewer, I think it was Shohani, say, because I got the Amy Brown fairy oracle, and she was surprised that I went for, those kind of light sort of fairies, that I would be, more into something dark. And she's absolutely right. Ooh, do I love a dark deck. I really do. But I have kids, and when my children were little, and they are both Fae-born, absolutely. My eldest, Morgana, is just fairy from the get-go. She is the queen of the fairies, as a matter of fact. Or she will be. And, dark. She's the dark twin. And then my bright twin is Tam Lin. And he was born holding onto his ear like this, and he still has a little point on one ear. And Morgana has the points on her ears too. But when they were little, I got every fairy thing I could get my hands on. Books, things to play with, the whole fairies of, I can't remember what they were called. Morgana had a whole set of them, and I kept collecting the pieces. They'd be all over the place. I'd collect them and keep them because I thought surely she wants to keep these, and then she got to the age and went, no. Unfortunately, we didn't have storage to keep them, and now she's on eBay looking for them again. So this is a little box that I got 2 of them because it was Easter and we were going up to their cousin's house, and when we did our little Easter egg hunt, whether there was money or candy or whatever in the eggs, I also put little messages from the fairies. So this is, gosh, what information do I have? It just says Baker and Peterson, Sebastopol, California. So this was probably, I'm thinking it might have been in the 90s still. It might have been before Tam was born. If it was after, it was very, very early in the 2000s. So these are just they are as light can be. And they're literally that, little messages from the fairies. And not like divinatory messages. This one says, you are an icicle hanging from a mountain ledge. So yeah, I say, okay, this is my lightest, and it comes off with an icicle hanging from a mountain ledge. No, you get the idea. You are the fluttering tips of palm leaves tickling the sky. You are the watchfulness of a crocodile floating in the river. You could read with these. You are the delicate perfume of spring flowers. You are a red-tailed hawk chasing the wind. You are the warm wind whispering secrets. So there's elemental things here. You are the first star of the night, twinkling and winking. So, they might be good little, clarifying cards. But, little tiny messages. And I have the second box that I distributed. They still have some in them, but they're mostly gone because I've given them away over the years. So that's my lightest. Then my second lightest, I would consider the Fairy Wisdom by Gillian Kemp. And I will also tell you that the first thing I did was pull out all of my decks that have the word fairy or fae in them anywhere. There were a couple decks that didn't have that still to me are very much fairy decks, and I did not include fairy tale decks. I have the Fairy Tale Lenormand. It's NA for this category. But things like Lucy Cavendish's Fairy Tale deck, I don't have that deck. I covet it, but I already have like 10 of her decks. So, but it's fairy tales. Fairy tales are very different from fairies. So here's the Fairy Wisdom book and card set by Gillian Kemp, and this is designed for young people. So you see the art style, very light, and these these cards that were anointed with some Guinness at a Hogwarts Yule Ball event where I was doing readings. The Grindylow, fall, all is not what it appears, inner power illuminates the way. So these aren't, super lighty bright, but they are light in message, I should say. The Fairy Queen of Spring, a dream being woven will come true, wishing brings the blessing closer. The Giant, great strides are taken, gigantic shadows fade. Winter, sweet dreams bring fey premonitions. Fairy Queen of Summer, the sun will not set on your dreams. So things like this. And then we have the Banshee, vulnerable emotions ebb and flow, a new beginning follows an ending. So they are still very positive. But I am putting this as my next lightest just because it is, it has a light touch, and it really is aimed at children. The meanings are very short, so it's a light touch deck. This deck is not going to take you diving into the inner recesses of your Shadowland. Next is Messages from the Wee Folk, and these aren't like hard and fast. I didn't sit here making them fight with each other to find out which one was next. So they are kind of interchangeable. So this one doesn't have fairy in the title, but it's the Wee Folk, so of course it's fairy. And look at my shirt, is incredibly wrinkled. Okay, by Jennifer Murphy and Cecile Okada. Did I give? I guess there isn't any artist name on this. Big computers. Okay, so now there we go. This is the addenda to the book, or the errata, I should say. There were errors. The art style is definitely light. These feel like they're for kids. So look at the keywords: acceptance, comfort, courage, nourishment. And there's hair, sorry. It's everywhere. Power, fire, peace, celebrate, light, listen, journey, release. So that's like the darkest one I've seen so far. And this one that's very dark is Light, is the name of that card. Love, independence, forgiveness, balance, voice. So you can see growth. These are very positive messages. True self was that dark looking one. Believe. All right. I don't want to spend too much time on these. I intend to timestamp, so you can just kind of click through them if you want. But let's take a look at 26, just to see the message of something. Release could be dealing with darker things. Why are you so angry? This is a vibration that is not going to be of use to you right now. It is destructive when harbored in your physical body for so long. Now is the time to let it go. Accept your anger. And these cards sneak up on you. This is the Fae part of this deck. They sneak up on you. You see a term like release, and then you start reading, it goes right to your anger. Your anger is getting you in trouble. So it really can do sort of a little about face on you, and you get confronted with something. Accept your anger in the situation that initiated those feelings and then let it go. Those in this life who hold on to anger and resentment for too long become physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually ill. So you can tell that the meanings were not written for children. Then we have affirmation. I release all my anger and resentment. I am at peace in my heart. So it doesn't shy away, but it does take you into darker places, but it has a lighter touch about it as well, that kind of soft artwork. So that's why this one is at the light end. Go till I run out of room on my table, and then I'll shift everything. This is the Mystic Faery. Barbara Moore and Linda Ravenscroft is the artist. And you can see right away just the palette. Look at the gold bag. Look at the kind of golden backs. We really do have a lighter vibe. And fairy, to me, I should probably have said this at the beginning, it is about nature beings. So, you know, looking for natural images and these organic type. I mean, this looks very insecty on the back, very bee-like. Come on. There we go. Looks like insect legs, right? And you can see with the artwork here, again, light, soft. There's no harshness about it. And this really is reflective of the Fae realm, because they are in that liminal place, you know. They can, oh, that got shuffled in. They can appear and disappear. They can be kind of transparent, you know. But these have a very playful quality and certainly a pretty quality to them. So that's what gives them the lighter touch for me, is just the visual. And you know, when you get into tarot as opposed to oracle, because oracle can go anywhere it wants to go, tarot is staying within a structure. So you do have you know, the basic tarot meanings, and we don't really bring something dark in a new way to tarot. Okay. Oh, sorry. Where do we? The Eight of Cups and the Two of Swords are popping out there. This deck I modified with gold on the edge. It's kind of looking worn. I did these with Sharpie. I've done a deck with a gold paint pen too, and it was icky, sticky, and not good. And then following that up is the Fairy Wisdom Oracle by Amy Brown, with text by her mother, Nancy Brown, and a hardcover book. So you can see why these are light. These are lighter fairies. Her art style is amazing, and Amy Brown fairies were some that I have Christmas ornaments for the tree for both of my kids that are Amy Brown fairies. So we have a soft palette. We have the playfulness, you know, playful critters. We have keywords that are, so you know, we have a little bit of dark flow to them here and there. Night light, bad dragon, human myth. So they are sort of on the, you know, the fairy tale-ish side, I guess I would say. Pretty little fairies, sweet and delicate, but not a lot of uber dark. Believe, Beloved, Fire Dance, Magnolia. I don't recall that they're, when fairies go bad, I was thinking, I don't think that there's any, like, and there's the Brat dark cards in this deck. Balancing Act, there's dragons, Tattoo Fairy, Dormouse, Moon Dragon, Too Many Dragons, Source of Magic. So, you know, they're beautiful, but they do not have that danger element. That's what I'm going for. When I talk about dark fairies, you know, the Fae are not tame. And they are known to be very tricksy. So, You know, there's a great Facebook page that's called Hippity Hoppity, I'm Now the Fae's Property. And they talk about, you know, the don'ts. When you go into the woods, don't do this, don't pick this, don't eat this, don't, you know, or you'll get trapped. Okay. Then we have the Forest of Enchantment. So another deck that does not have the name Faery in it, but come on, it's about a forest and its creatures, and where do the Fae live? Well, they live everywhere. They're all around us. But where is their home? In nature. So this is a very green fairy deck. And the art style is, you know, is darker, but it's a green. It's a dark bright. And there's ones, and again, this is a tarot deck, so we are going to stick and you know, with the tarot structure, and have darker cards within that structure, like the Seeker of Challenges, who is the Knight of Swords. And then we have the Five of Boons. So this is the equivalent to the Five of Pentacles. That is traditionally a darker card in the tarot. But even so, we don't see like evil fairies. Those are human beings. And so here's a, you know, the Forest Lord. He's certainly of the Fae. We do have a lot of animals in this deck, and we have a lot of humans as well. But most of them are forest creatures, forest beings, like the Fae, and dragons, and animals, and badgers, and people, and unicorns, and wolves, and it's just beautiful. Here's the Ten of Challenges, so that would be the Ten of Swords. I'm looking for the devil here and what it's called. There's the Green Mother, is the Empress. The Enchanter's Wheel is the Wheel of Fortune. The Liar. Okay, the devil is the liar. And it's such a perfect thing for a fairy deck, because, you know, devil is a Christian construct. You're not going to find that, and you shouldn't find that in a fairy deck. But the liar is perfect, and fairies, you know, look at him luring you. They're known for it. So this also is not, it's, while it is really sweet and beautiful, this is a super rich deck. There are so many things that you can get from the images in this deck without consulting the book. If you know anything about tarot, this deck adds to that in a lot of ways. But it has, I think, a more serious side, and I think that's why this is coming, you know, along in the darker, towards the darker. I'd say this is a middle. This is a mid deck. Just because of the depth. You know, it doesn't have the light touch, even though it's not got like this like super scary dark energy. It's the depth of what you can get from this deck that makes me put it where I do. All right. Let's clear the way for the frickin' Lucy Cavendish decks. Here they come. Okay. First up was the first Lucy Cavendish deck I had, which is the Wild Wisdom of the Fairy Oracle. Man, this book is beat up. And this bag is crunchy. Look at this. I've had this bag for so long. I don't know what got spilled on it, but yeah, this is a super crunchy bag. I should probably put it in a new bag. So Wild Wisdom of the Fairy Oracle, Selena Fennick is the artist. Fennick or Fennick? Child of the Moon, Silver Sisters, time to take protection from toxic thoughts and energy. So she does, this is, the first one's talking about forgiveness and transcending the ego. This one is talking about toxic thoughts and energy. So we have meanings that are going, you know, into the darker realm as an oracle. Portals to Fairy, the Green Man's Door, Trust, Surrender, Leap of Faith, Light, the Darkness, and here we have, you know, an older Fae being that looks a little different and a little wilder. So yeah, that's why this one's coming up, going into the dark. Gossamer Princess, the Midnight Prince, ask for what you want, be honest. This is a beautiful deck, and it's a wonderful deck, and I have a terrible fault, and that is that when decks are in bags, they live in a box. that's, you know, on my deck shelves there. But I forget about those decks, and out of sight, out of mind, because I can't see the actual box of the deck. I don't think about it. This was a deck that really hit well. When I started working with it, it was like ba-boom, bang, right on the money. So it has the gift for sure. And it does go into the darker realm. Fairy tales, letting go, detachment, moving on. Magical help is on its way. Stardust. Fairy wishing well, just good stuff. I should look a little bit at the books here, maybe. So this deck gives reversed meanings for the Oracle. So it does go, you get a really long description, you get a long divinatory section, and then you get a reverse meaning too. So this deck also goes deep. Deep into the darkness. Oh, hey. Stop. Right. Next up is Fairy Blessing cards, and these I tried to put like at the real front end because I'm thinking, well, they're all blessings. But they do have a bit of a vibe to them. Look at her face. Just look at the artwork. Look at the ears. She's very wild looking. And this is, let's see. Looking for the artist. It really bugs me when it's not on the front of the book. Oh! Yes, I do know this. Never mind, you didn't see that. This is Amy Brown. So Amy Brown doesn't just do, you know, pretty light fairies. A blessing of honesty, breeds flame, Awen, the white heart. Ah, I love that card. And some of these cards are dealing with darker things, but they come with a blessing. You know, the blessing of this thing you're grappling with is this. So there is a very positive spin. This is another deck that I really wish had more description on it, and Lucy's other decks almost to a deck have, you know, the title of the card and then several keywords or phrases, and things like blessing on the heart's calling, or the blessing of N.A. I guess it's N.A. N. I don't know about her. A blessing of Awen. You have to read and integrate those meanings because the keywords are not on the card. Blessing of Aramid. Let's look and see what she is. She's very green. The fairy gift of working with herbs, medicine plants, and their blessings. So, you know, it'd be easy to remember what they are once you get into them. Clear foresight, blessing of the mothers. Just look at some of the artwork again. Blessing of stillness, fairy guardian, safe place in the world. Blessing of green, movement. And if I remember, I will put timestamps and also a link to my unboxing. A blessing of the unseelie. Okay, so there's the Seelie Court and the Unseelie Court. And the Seelie Court's like the good fairies, and the Unseelie Court is the other ones, the other crowd. The fairy gift of following your true heart from the worthy rebels of the Unseelie Court. So this does put a positive spin, but we're dealing with the darker things. The gift of the Unseelie is a rebellious one. The one who defies and who does not go with the flow. In fairy lore, the Unseelie are sometimes considered dangerous, but their blessing is this: you are not born to appease and to concede, to give way always before forces that consume and control. You were born to be free, da-da-da-da-da. There are no reverses in this deck. Beautiful. Beautiful matte. Gorgeous. I'm so glad that they started doing the whole matte thing, because this it's better than shiny. Oracle the Dragon Fae. This was the first. I think this was the second Lucy Cavendish deck I had. I do believe this one came first, but they were bought around the same time. I'm pretty sure this has been reissued. This deck definitely has some darker energy to it, and it's mostly in the artwork. It's deep, it's rich. The thing that turns me off about this deck is it's collaborative. There's like 7 different artists listed, and I have yet to find one of those artists' work in here. This is mostly Michelle Lee Phelan. What was her name? Fennick. Selena Fennick. She does a lot of this artwork. That's one of hers. But, you know, I cannot reconcile these two. They're just too different. They are from completely 2 different realms. And then you've got Tony Carmine Salerno in there that, you know, it's just like, I don't like it. But it does have that darkness to it. You're stronger than you think. Clarity. Fly high. Whole again. Nothing's impossible. Justice will prevail. That's beautiful. Certainly beautiful cards. And, you know, there's the title and the key. The Morrigan, take action. The Dawn Watcher, bells will ring. Lady Luna's magic, synchronize your lunar time and energy. Melusine, love who you are. The lovers love each other. And so we have some in here where the fairies are actually deities. Queen Mab, your ancient wisdom is awakening. Tatsuya. So Melusine, that I just said, is actually a goddess. Breed is a goddess. And not from fairy traditions necessarily. So, but a darker deck nonetheless. Let's look at the book. We have, for each card, the card speaks. Then we have about, then divinatory meanings, and then working with. So, breed, we are one. Breed speaks, about, breed, divinatory meanings, and, you know, then it will tell you who did the artwork at the end. Eleanor and the Lady. So, you know, it does go deep meaning-wise, as Lucy's decks tend to. And it comes after the blessing card. It's like, you know, is it dark because I don't like it that much? No, I think just if you look at this and you look at this, you know, this one is very focused on blessings. That one's not. All right. Then, now we're getting somewhere. The Fairy Forest. This is Lucy. Artwork by Maxime Gad, but look at that. The artwork is realistic and has this otherness about it. You know, they are human-ish faces, but, and then look at King of the Darkwood Elves, authority, credibility, status, initiate, some that are very much more human-looking, and then look at shapeshifter. Salu. I don't know if those are goddesses. The Fairy Norn. Soulkin. I mean, look at these. So you see how we're getting into the dark changelings, right? And, oh, yeah. Now, this is the same artist. There, I guess there is a continuity, but the styles here are wildly different. And I love them, and I don't find it disjointed because it's the same artist. But look at this. Veil, illness, transition. Look at that card. So yes, I do love dark fairies. The Maven, Shining Hope, Future. They're just beautiful. Athling. Blood Month, sacrifice, offerings, decision. You see why we're going very dark here. Yes. Queen of the Darkwood Elves. Lifebringer, Frigga, Dwira. I mean, they're just, like I said, there's an otherness about them. The difference in art styles just doesn't bother me in this deck, because there is a cohesion to it being all the same artist. But it does give the impression that, you know, pieces where artwork was looked through and chosen rather than will you create this for this deck. I think this deck needs edged, truthfully. I'm going to set it aside. Anytime I see decks with a black border here, it's like, oh, easy one to edge, and it's black on the back. Yeah, we're gonna edge this deck. I think we shall edge it in green. That'll really stand out from the black. I'm gonna set it aside. All right. It's going a lot faster than I thought it would. I'm glad, because I thought it was going to be something else. Now I have a newer deck, Faery Oracle with Arthur Rackham's artwork, Jamie Elford. This is a Los Scarbeo deck that I just recently purchased, not very long ago. And I was pleasantly surprised at the darkness in this deck. This card in particular is one that I couldn't really figure what he was about, and there are no keywords, just numbers, and I was very wrong about what he was about. It's observation, and it's like the number 2 card, so I thought, oh, this deck is going to suck. It doesn't suck. All the rest of the cards have a much more intuitive thing. I can more easily intuit from the images. But the images, it's this beautiful dark artwork. And when I did the test drive in my unboxing, I remember talking about how this deck goes there. You know, it really does look at dark stuff. And they're just so beautiful. I mean, he was in the, I think, late 1800s, early 1900s, an illustrator, and of fairy tale books, and so beautiful. So, and the book, being LS, has several languages, and each card just has a paragraph or so. There's a description and a meaning. So, and I did find it to have a lot of meaning. So we've got the dark images, and we also have meanings that go to the darker places with this deck. Next is the Hidden Realm, Tarot of the Hidden Realm, Julia Jeffrey and Barbara Moore. So Julia Jeffrey's the artist. This deck also, I feel like the fairies actually posed for this deck. Does not say fairy anywhere in the title, but hoo boy, yes, this is a gift deck from Annette Klein. Thank you, darling. And looky here, I edged this deck. It's actually purple, looks blue on camera, and the backs are purple as well. So here we have the Devil, Shadow Dance. So again, being a tarot, it's going to rename majors, but look at him. And the fact that it's not devil, but it's shadow dance. Did I? Yes, I did. Okay. Then we have, there's the Emperor, 7 of Swords, Temperance. So again, these faces have that otherness about them, that wildness. And then we have Amberdos, an otter, and a badger. And that's the Knight of Cups. The World, I mean, she's very wild looking. Green woman wild. 7 of Pentacles, the Queen of Swords. So yeah, you can see the imagery. I mean, look at the wildness here. I love it so much. Look at that. Animals, fairies. There are lighter ones, of course, as well. Let's see if we get to one. Look at it. Just, yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. So through the whole deck, I mean, even the lighter ones are very much, this card is the quality of the light in summertime. My videos take on a very green cast because it's a wall of green right outside my window. So they definitely have that deep forest feel to them. Look at the Hermit. Star. So even the lighter meaning cards, there's the Lovers, have a darkness about them. like I said, a deep forest darkness, not a grimness, not a, maybe a danger. That's probably the lightest card in the entire deck. Two of Wands. Okay. The book on this one is, you get a big description and then you get a divinatory meaning with both the majors and the minors. And it is pretty comprehensive as far as the meanings go. But just for straight up dark, wild fairy vibe, I love this deck. Okay, I'm going to put these over here. And now we have the kings of them all, the Froud Fairy decks. This is the one that I got second. It's the Heart of Fairy. It was the second deck that Brian Froud did. The first one, let's see, Brian and Wendy. The first one, let's do side by side here. So, look at this is falling apart. I need to do a repair. So, Fairy's Oracle, Brian Froud, text by Jessica Macbeth, and this is by Brian and Wendy Froud. So, Wendy, his wife, wrote the text on this. This is Heart of Fairy, Queen of the Golden Bough, the Queen of Bedlam, Queen of the Night, Queen of the Day. Oh, I've got these in order. Queen of Owls, Queen of Hearth and Home. So they have sections. There's the queens and princes, and let's see what the categories are here. So the fairy queens, the queen's consorts, the archetypes start with, go away. The archetypes start with the Lord and Lady of the forest. I mean, looky. Just look at the queens. Look at the otherness. Look at the strangeness and the darkness. Brian Froud's artwork is incredible. Queen of the Shadows, there she is. And then we have a Queen of Laughter. The Captive Man. Oh my God. So, seriously some dark energies here. Prince of Shadows. Prince of Light. Speaker of Truth. Look at him. You don't dare not take that fairy seriously. You do not dare. Shapeshifter. Oh, look at the face. Whew. I'd be away with the fairies, I can tell you that. The Elven Knight. The Messenger. The Rocks. The Thief. And then we have the Lord and the Lady. And they have that strange beauty. There's like a beautiful ugliness to them, or an ugly beauty. I don't know which way it goes, but it's a realness, They have their own faces. Look at that. Oh. So we go through the archetypes, and then we have sprites, which start with, okay, so the sprites start with the Fairy of Youth. Growth, Tink, Bright Spark, Star Fairy. And then we go from the sprites to the ladies, the tricksters, and the journey. Okay, so sprites. We'll know when we get to the ladies, I'm assuming. Here we go, the fixer. The lady of the leprechauns, Lady of Unicorns. Song Sorrows. Do you love the darkness? The Lady of Faith, Lady of Joy, the Juggler. All right, after the ladies are the tricksters, and then the journey. So here we go with the tricksters. The Juggler, the big behind. Oh my God, so good. I wonder if these are from the Pressed Fairies book. Prick up your ears. Oh no! So he really deals with the whole range of fairies. The hidden one, the two minds. Look at that. It's great. The paradox. He is a wizard at these kind of two-face images. Amazing. Paradox, the blessing, the leaving, the remembrance. So this must be the journey now. Paradox, blessing, leaving, remembrance, challenge, joy of the future, shadow of the past, song, question. Can you see the dark crystal here? Anywhere, maybe? Temptation, the hope, the dreaming, the gift. Look at this. The returning. So this, and then we have extras that they don't say anything at all about. But how much do I love the fact that this deck keeps there's a placekeeper. You know, we keep a place for the fairies that we don't know to come in, and that's amazing. And also, you know, says that you're really open to whatever may come. Then we have the first deck, and this one, oh my goodness. I have to say that as far as writing goes, this deck, this book has always knocked it out of the park. This one, not so much. I have had a hard time connecting with the heart of Faery. I don't really get, I mean, sometimes they've busted through and given me a great reading, but most of the time, I just don't get that connection. This deck is alive. And gift deck, bought it myself. So, there's the Bright Mother. There's himself. Look at himself. Oh my God. Like I said, I'd be away with the fairies. There's the Piper. Follow him too. Ta'om the poet. Yes, please. But look at him. Look at his back. You know, look at his face. That otherness, that they're not putting on a human guise for us. It's like he captured them in their human guise. But I mean, look at the different beings that are around the edges of these cards. You see so many, many different varieties of fairy, and so we have to remember that they appear to us how they want to appear. And sometimes it's in order to get our trust, sometimes it's in order to trick us, sometimes they pick a guise that will scare us. So yes, I mean, look at this, the Soul Shrinker. Come on. Let's go dark, folks. Death. And notice that death in the fairy realm is still death. Iris of the Rainbows, the Pook. The Oak Man, she of the Crua. Look at the Green Woman. She is fucking wild. Do not mess with her, because she will laugh all the way to ripping your ass up. There's the Guardians. So this sets the Guardian at the gate. Guardian, or here the Fiery Sword. And this deck too is broken into, here's the Sage with his blind eye that sees inwardly. The Pixies, a collective of pixies. Arvel Parrot. Then we have, look, the Fairy Godmother. Isn't she amazing? But still, that, you know, it's not whimsical. It's sparkly, but it has, there's a serious, this is gotcha. Gotcha. Indie, who cannot make up their mind. The Glenconer. Oh, Lord. Honesty. I mean, look at the face. Have you ever seen such an honest face? Yes, I so love this deck. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. The Feline. That's the Piper that gets paid. Lacey Moon's Daughter. Geo the Slow. So we have many different, again, the blanks. Oh, that gnome. This is a self-portrait of Brian Froud. The bodacious Boda. So, the Master Maker, just going at the Rar, the Topsy-Turvets. Here we go. Look at the, and this is also the backs of the cards, but look at the faces. Okay, you see them right side up here, S, and then we can turn those very faces over and see them again from the other angle. It's amazing. Lua the Wild. Look at that. Luahas, I think. Jihabia. Yes, these are the dark fairies. I love this one too. Gloominous Doom. Then you have Solus. Come on. Yeah, baby. Mickalamuckle. Ecstasy, Spirit Dancer. I mean, such a beautiful deck. And they are divided into okay, so there's the zero card, the blank card. Then there's the Singers of the Realms. Those were the guardians and the ones, the blue with the singers. Those are what the singers look like. And this to me is kind of like pure fairy. This is what I imagine if we could see them without their disguises that they put on. This is what we might see, is these flashes of light. Singers of the Realms, then there's the She, the Fairy Guides and Guardians, the Helpline Troop, and the Fairy Challengers. So, like the Glenconer is about illusion and delusion, lust, projection, and clear sight. Bodacious Boda is about meddling and tampering, helpful fixing. Gloominous Doom, self-defeat and self-pity. The Soul Shrinker, cruelty, malice, gossip, curses, destruction. So this deck has an entire category for the darkest. Epona's Wild Daughter, Inner Shadows, Nightmare, Depression, Madness. And the Fairy Challengers start off with Death. Indie, Indecision, Wishy-Washy, Gotcha is a sudden shock. The Feline, Getting It Right, Tidying Up Loose Ends. Okay, I was looking for, what was I looking for? I was looking for, I guess here's the RAR. So this is the Helpline Troop, the RAR. The Topsy-Turvets, change of viewpoint. This is like pure wild energy, communication. Mickalamuckle is blessings, mixed blessings, a collective of pixies. Duty, willingness, joyful participation. So these have a much lighter feel, and then we go like lists of the shadows. Lacey Moon's Daughter, light cast in shadows, and then we have Lasguna, sunken treasure. And then here's the Helpline. Honesty, Ilby the Retriever, Mick the Myomancer, Geo the Slow, List of the Shadows, Healing the Shadows, Addictions, Bondage, Self-Esteem. So this Helpline Troop is starting to go into the dark. Then we have the, let me see here. All right, whatever. You can go check out my unboxing and see the categories and stuff. But when the writing in this book, this one is good writing, and it just doesn't have that channeled thing about it. This, there's a big introduction, or a description. Then there's the starter reading and reversed. But I'm telling you, in this description part, most of the time, if I read that, there will be like a sentence that directly goes to the question I have asked. Bang, like restates the question, and I mean it really, really is alive. You should check out the unboxing there. So that's it for my fairy decks from light to dark. What did you think? I would like to know, because you know what? There's a million flippin' fairy decks now, and I would love to know what you have in your collection. if you would assess it the same way, if it's the same as I have, would you assess that deck the same way that I did? Which kind of fairies do you like? Or do you go for the lighter ones, the darker ones? I go for all of them, as you can see. But I'm very curious, especially to see some decks that I don't have. So if you would like, please participate in the hashtag of Light Fairies, Dark Fairies. And if you enjoyed this, please hit the like button. If you really enjoyed it and you're new to the bunch, hit subscribe as well. I do a variety of things here. You can pick and choose. There are unboxings and videos like this. There hopefully soon again will be live stream readings and live stream prayer circles and mini rituals and things. So there's a lot to choose from. And I thank you for being here and hanging out with me. Until I see you next time, this is Luna. Blessed be.